Well, as you can all see, I've moved slightly from where I was yesterday. I flew out this morning. Can you believe? Well, late last night, late last afternoon, because of course with the hour difference we're about 6, 7, 8 hours ahead, and I'm out in the middle of the Burmese jungle. Can you believe it? And I was struck by one thing, and how can I best define it? Apart from, okay, the weather, and everybody knows it's warm. It's warm back at home, it's warm here. It's rather humid, actually, I have to say, despite my extremely, as you can see, excuse me, that's probably the air conditioning on the plane, so I should have turned up my collar and done this and covered it and done all sorts of things. But back to the point, here there is an incredible wealth. One might say poverty, but I don't think you can define it as poverty. I think it's rather more to the point is that people perhaps don't actually know how best or what best to do with themselves. I don't want to draw any comparisons. In Italy, you live one way, here you live another. There's this in Italy, there's that here. We've got lots of bamboo, as you can see, and we've got lots of pandas and all that sort of thing. It's a very, very lush, very, very rich, fertile some areas, and then of course you've got the dry pampas, whatever you want to call it, when these when these canes they dry up or dry out. But sticking to the point, I'm not sure people know exactly how best to. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. No, I thought it was a snake for the moment coming down the wall there, or coming down in the middle of the bushes. But I don't think it is. Anyway, they live very much on a day-to-day business, on a day-to-day basis, and therefore it's yes, you could say like some parts of Italy. And some parts which obviously are quite different. They have a lot of agriculture in this particular area where I am. And I think, as I say, the problem, or at least the difficulty, not the problem, the difficulty is, and this is where we touch the vital point of supply and demand. Now, are we in Italy satisfied with the situation as it is? I think my answer would be no, we're not. We're not happy. Why? Because we're not selling? Because we're not buying? Ask yourself another question. What do you think they're doing here, out here in Burma? Are they buying? Are they selling? You go to the local marketplace and there's the market stalls full of fruit and vegetables and goodness knows what. It's very attractive and very nice. And as I say, it's, yes, a little warm, but then again, it is that time of year, you know. It can be warm, yes, it can be warm. But I suspect, and this is where you hit the nail on the head, and ask yourself, are you in the right place? Or better still, is the demand there? Because if the demand there isn't there, then what are you going to do as a supplier? I'm not going to explain now what supply and demand is all about and who supplies and who buys, and that's a matter that you all know about. It's a subject you all know inside out. The real point I want to make is that if you're selling a product and there is the demand and people want it, then of course it'll be a huge success. Excuse me. If, on the other hand, there isn't the demand, for whatever reason, it may be related to the fact that people, of course, are very poor, and they may or may not have a lot of money to spend, but I think it's more a question of, and some of them don't even know what they want, because of course they don't know what there is. And that really is ironical. But let's, I mean, I could bore the backside off you talking about IT, but one good example, for instance, I think the telephones probably work here better than they do in parts of Italy with us. As I say, I am now in the middle of the jungle and I have Wi-Fi. I have Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi connection. I'll be sending this recording and it'll go on to live streaming in a matter of minutes. It reminds me of when they were trying to, they were having a great fight against the, what do you call them, the guys who fell the trees. They cut down deforestation. They're cutting down hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of forests, of woods, but mainly forests, tropical or subtropical forests, to, of course, cultivate and plant other things, which may be a little more remunerative. But, of course, we know what we're talking about, and we're talking things which I would prefer that they grew potatoes and cultivated rice and other things rather than poppies, which go then to making cocaine and heroin and goodness knows what. So, but let's not get off the subject. Let's get back to, and I've just talked about one aspect, and that is communication. Essentially, when we're talking about phones, because of course I can now communicate with you, and you are tens of thousands of miles away. We are about 10,000 kilometers away, actually, but I can still talk to you on the phone. And so from that point of view, I would say they're more ahead of us, if you can use such terminology. I mean, in terms of technology, in terms of, it's quite extraordinary what they have. And as I say, you can get Wi-Fi out in the middle of nowhere. You can get Wi-Fi in the streets, in the cities and the streets and things like that. There's Wi-Fi all over the place. So that's already one up on Italy, or one up on a lot of European countries. I don't think it's just Italy, and therefore I don't want to be anti-Italy. In fact, I'm not anti-Italy. I'm very, very pro-Italy in a lot of things. Supply and demand. Supply and demand. I am selling a product which is either produced, manufactured, or imported by me, and I'm trying to sell it here. And therefore the question arises, but okay, Hugh, that's great, but do the people want it? Are you in the right place? So if the answer is yes, and the price is right, and the quality is right, and the moment is right, and everything's right, then the business will go fine. The day they say no, or it's too expensive, or this, or that, or there's some quality problem, or there's the supply chain that breaks down, and I can't get them the products fast enough, they'll go somewhere else, because if the demand is there, then of course they'll sell. So I'd just like to close on that note, and as I say, I'll just give you another flash of exactly where I am, because I mean it's really quite extraordinary. Last night I was speaking from just a place down the road from where I am at home, and late yesterday afternoon, early evening, I drove to Malpensa and got on my overnight flight, and of course I arrived around, I mean it's What are we talking? It's probably 12, 15. I think in all it took us about 15, 16, 17 hours. But now for me, I'm another 6 hours ahead, 7 hours ahead. So for me, it's actually looking at the time, 2 and 7, it's 9, it's 9:30 in the evening. So I'm quite exhausted as well. I'm quite tired. And quite, really. But anyway, I'm here. And as you can see, there's a beautiful, beautiful backdrop and everything. And let me just leave you with that food for thought, because I think it's fundamental. I mean, it's one of so many different aspects of business, but of course fundamental. Because you can say, okay, Michele, you can supply me with so-and-so. But if the market isn't here, and if the demand isn't here, and if the people are not looking for that particular product, then you're in the wrong place. And therefore, what do? You move, you change, you move, you change markets. And that's it. So that is what the global economy is doing. And if we want to keep up with the global economy, we move. We just simply follow the demand. And if the demand is goodness knows where in the Middle East, or if it's in the States, or if it's in the Far East, or in the Arab countries, that's where we go. Do we want to produce the things locally? That's a question of going into the analytics of various aspects, of course, the costs and all sorts of things. But just keeping strictly to supply and demand, I would close by saying, if we're in the right place, that's great, and we'll do business. If we're in the wrong place, move. And when you're moving, you move. You move with the global markets, because that's where the demand is. And may I wish you a good day, because for you, it's still the middle of the afternoon. And for me, I guess I might have a light dinner. Although after those funny flights, you're eating things, and sometimes very often you don't even feel particularly hungry. And as I say, I actually probably, you can even see slightly that sort of tired, drained look on my face, although I slept quite well on the aircraft. I do, probably an early night would do me good, and then I can be up bright and breezy in the morning. I'm here just for 3 days, so it'll be just a flash. By the middle of next week, I'll be back on planet Earth. I'll be back in Italy, and we can, of course, then catch up later. Okay, then. Bye for now. Take care. And from our pandas, as you can see, there aren't actually many pandas, because I think they've eaten most of what was eatable, or should you say edible, not eatable. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.